wanted to thank you all for coming today. Today's gonna be the hands down presentation or workshop. That's why I recommend you guys to have your category listing report, something that we already covered in the first session. And Braulio, you ask question, when are you receiving the presentation? We're sending those presentations like the PDF at the end of the whole ABC week. So Monday next week, you're gonna get a full PDF with all the slides that I'm sharing. No, you're not gonna get it 3 PDF, just one, and that's at the end of the whole ABC. Again, thank you for doing that. You need to be sign up, and I guess if you're already here in this call, it's because you already signed up for the ABC week. We are only sending the email to the people that sign up for it, so make sure you are there. And yeah, welcome again. Hello. So today we are using Zoom because at the end of the call, at the end of the presentation, I want you guys to ask questions live. I have a list of about 7 questions that you already submitted. I'm gonna go through those, but I don't know if while we are working on the flat file, you get or come across with any kind of issue. So if that's the case, you gonna be up with me here in the camera. You can open your mic, ask the question. So hello, Catherine, welcome. Hi, everybody. If you want, you can put in the chat again, as we did in the first session. Where are you signing up from? Last time we had people from all over, like Australia, Hong Kong, Europe. That was so exciting to see. And yeah, we're gonna wait 2 or 3 more minutes. Oh my God, Belgium. Thank you so much, Catherine. Like, that's amazing. Now it's afternoon here in America. I bet it's maybe night for you. But yeah, that's so exciting. And we're gonna go with the presentation. I'm gonna share with you, we're gonna start with a short theory section. Again, I want to have everybody that is in this call have them in the same page with flat files. Some of you that already follow me for a while maybe have seen some of the content that I'm gonna share. Again, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time in the basics. I hope that you guys, if you're here, you're somewhat interested in flat files, maybe know something about it. So I'm just gonna cover the basics, and then we're gonna go into a real flat file to change the stuff, look for new categories, look for new stuff to put that. So again, let's give a little bit more of time. I have some questions, by the way, that are very basic. So today I'm trying to cover what are, or how to use the flat files, what are the things that you can do with them. And in the session that we're gonna have on Friday, we're gonna do problem solving. So a lot of the questions that you guys sent me in the email were more about problem solving. So I'm gonna start with those questions in the third session. I'm gonna start with the problems. I'm gonna test you guys if you relate, if you have ever got the same issue over and over. So I hope that at the end of their presentation, you get some answers, some light on what you do if you're facing the issues. And in today's presentation, I'm actually gonna show you what are the things that you could and could not do with flat files. So flat files are amazing, but they are not the cure for everything. Quick question to the seller. Have Amazon reduced your inventory limits this week? Okay, David asked a question for everybody. Did you already feel the limit? I think the restrictions were coming on October 1st. If I'm not mistaken, the email that they sent out saying that they will restrict the inventory or restock limits for Q4, that was something that was starting to impact people at the end of September. But it came early without notice. Oh, okay. So you didn't receive the email, just you cannot send inventory anymore. Oh, that's, I don't have that planned into the third session, but we can talk about, we can talk about improving IPI and seeing the things that are there. Obviously, your main metric for this inventory limit will be sell through. So make sure that from now to Q4, which is October 1st, make sure that you have in FBA only fast selling items, taking out anything that is not that won't sell in 30 days. That's the recommendation. And hopefully with that you get a better perspective. But I'm gonna try to cover a little bit of it on the third session if we have time. Okay, so let me share my screen so we can start. And we are recording this session. Perfect. I don't want this to be missed. Perfect. So you guys are seeing my slides. I want to go again for everybody that are here that joined me for the first session or not, for you to have a little bit of perspective to what this is. This is the ABC week, the Amazon backend calibration week, where we are hosting 3 webinars. The first one happened on Monday, and we talk about all the tools that you have available in Seller Central and outside of Seller Central for the revenue side that you can start leveraging completely for free. And it's a toolkit that you should have like super close on hand and with your processes and very familiar with, because at the moment that you have an issue in your account, those are the tools that will help you. More like, obviously we also have seller support and all the stuff, but do it yourself. Those are the tools. So if you missed that session, we sent an email with the link for you to see the recording. And at the end of the week or the beginning of next week, you're gonna get the slides. So you have that information, you can start practicing all that. And obviously you guys have open communication with us, social media, email. So if you ever have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. So today, the second session is about flat files, which is probably my favorite thing to talk about. And we can spend hours and hours talking about it. But what I want to do in this session is walk you through the very basic principles of flat files. What are they? How to use them? What's the structure? And then we're going to talk about the capabilities for you to optimize your listings. So this is the time for you to start optimizing. We're getting into Q4. I know that as soon as we hit Q4, I know people like become paralyzed when we talk about optimization, because they don't want to break the listing or stuff like that. So now is the time. You have a month to make sure that you are very, very well optimized to enter Q4. So we're going to talk about that. I hope you guys have your category listing report ready. If you have any questions while we are, I'm presenting, feel free to put it in the chat and I'll go over those. I also have a list of questions that I'm going to answer. Those are the ones that were pre-submitted in the emails. And lastly, on Friday, our last session for the ABC week will be about SOPs. So what are the SOPs? Are standard operating procedures, and those are the processes we follow each time we encounter an issue. So most of the times, or now that I understand really well what's happening in many, many accounts, I can see what are the patterns, and I can see that most issues have the same root cause. So based on that root cause, I'm going to share with you our top SOPs to solve them. Also going to start with answering the questions that you send me that are like a problem. So this is like going back to school. You gave me a problem, like a math problem, and I'm gonna help you to solve it. I hope that we can solve the whole problem. Some other problems are very complex and will need more work on your side. You need to open cases and stuff like that and see what Amazon is telling you and what the real root cause is. But I hope that at the end of the third session, you will have not only the toolkit, the knowledge about flat files, but also the SOPs and how to use them. So when you have an issue, you're already there to solve it. So perfect. Oh my God. You guys hear me? Okay. I don't know what happened. Yes. Okay. My mic was muted for a minute. Okay. I will never get tired of talking about contribution rights. This is something that I'll bring up all the time because a lot of the things that we're gonna do are, and a lot of the problems that you guys face in your catalog come from contribution issues. Okay, so again, I covered this in depth in the first session. I have a bunch of videos about it and posts on LinkedIn and Instagram. You can go to those, but remember, when we are contributing, we have a certain amount of points, and if there is a contribution that is above us, we will not, like, we won't be able to change that, not even with flat files. So that's the first thing that I want to deconstruct. Like, I talk a lot about flat files and I tell, and always I'm saying that they're amazing, they're a magic thing. They are, but they have limitations, and limitations that come with the contribution rights. If you didn't watch the first presentation, make sure to watch it so you understand better this. But again, remember that. Okay, so let's talk about the intro to flat files. This is to level the field. I want you guys to have the same information, at least in the structure side, because I'm gonna go into the details in this webinar. So what are flat files? They are templates given by Amazon. It's an Excel spreadsheet that have the purpose of store, input, and change information of many areas of our business. So some of the areas are inventory, catalog, orders, and PPC or advertising. We mainly gonna focus, well, we only gonna focus here in your catalog because those are the ones that really impact your business, that can drive more sales, more traffic optimization, and solve problems. The other ones that are related to inventory, to orders, or PPC are more organizational, or what they give is a structure to what you have, but they don't really optimize much, unless we're talking about a very complex PPC system. But we're not getting there today or at some point. So the structure. This is very, very crucial for you, because obviously you come to these events and you learn from me, learn from my content, or everybody that puts out content about flat files. But one of the things you need to understand is that Amazon give you the infrastructure and the instructions to work with flat files. What I'm teaching you now are, based on my experience, the knowledge, and making it super simple for you to get it. But if at some point you face a roadblock, the structure that the flat files have will give you the answers that most of the times you need. So if you have a question, for example, and I get this question a lot when I talk about optimization, people come to me and say like, hey, Vanessa, I find this attribute ABC, but I don't know what information to put there. So I'm going to show you now where to find that information. And this is the first part of the flat file structure, which is the sheets. So sheets are the things that we see in a spreadsheet, the tabs that we have. This is the example of the category listing report, and the category listing report have the instructions. There's nothing there that you need to read. It's very boring. And there are, I think the information is in different languages. The images, they give you examples of how you put images in flat files. And I know that I have one question about that I'm gonna answer later. Examples, how the data should look like, data definitions. So this is one of the tabs that will answer a lot of questions for you guys. If you see an attribute that you're like, I have no clue what this is, Data definitions will tell you what it is. So, for example, if you don't understand what unit count is, in that section, data definition, the file will explain what unit count means. So unit counts is the amount of units that are inside of the package, right? Instead of like one package, but you have in the box, you have 12. So that's what it means. Then the template, which is where everything happens, and all flat files have a tab called template. That's where the changes, the input, and all of the things that I'm going to talk about happen there. And that's the most important tab. If you delete that tab, it's not going to work. You could delete other tabs. You actually could delete all of them, but the template, and you're still going to have a good flat file to upload. Then valid values, and that's again another tab that will give us a lot of answers. When we have something like the pesticide section, the EPA section. The EPA section is that drop-down menu, and you can only put certain information there, right? It's what the only options that Amazon give you. So in the valid values, that's where those drop downs or that information is there. So instead of you saying like, hey, my product is not a pesticide, the valid value tab will tell you you need to input these specific letters. Okay, so they will like a lot of knowledge, and there is a lot of information once we learn how to use them. And again, most of the times, if a question comes like, hey, I don't know what to put here, or I don't know what else I can add, those are your best friends. Okay. And also, I hope you guys got familiar with the browse tree guides, because that's the other thing that we're gonna be seeing today, is how to use those. That's very interesting too. Then we have the schema of the template, which is the higher or the three main rows, in this case of the category listing report. Other flat files have only one or two, but this is the most important section, and it cannot be deleted. And it cannot be deleted in the row level. So you cannot delete row 1, 2, or 3. You could delete columns, but not rows in the first top 3 for the category listing report. And one tip that I'm gonna give you, and I believe I covered this in the first session, or I don't remember, but once you download your category listing report, the most important attribute or the most important information in that section, in the schema of the template, is the third row. And why I'm saying this? Because, for example, you guys are facing an issue where you cannot change the information in certain attribute, right? You are trying to change the product name, but you cannot, like it's impossible, nothing works, blah, blah, blah. The best tip for you to engage with seller support in a way that they understand really fast, and you can escalate the case to a higher level, and they will see like, hey, we are really dealing with a really savvy seller. It's using the term or the name convention that Amazon uses for that particular attribute. So instead of saying like, hey, seller support, I want to change my product name, which is the second row, which is the more user-friendly name, right? You're gonna use item_name. Why? Because you're using their own convention for them to understand really quick what is the attribute that you want to change. And guys, I'm telling you, this is game changer. Once they have that information, it's super fast for them to see it, because on the back end, what seller support says is this convention. They don't really see product name, they see item_name. So you save them time. And most times, so with the product name and item name, it's very straightforward. It's really simple to, match that. But there are other ones, and we can see it here, for example, in the first column, product type. If you say like, hey, I want to change my product type, which is also your category. For example, hey, I want to change my category. You're gonna, instead of saying that, which is basic, simple, slang of sellers, but because you're here now, you're learning, I'm telling you, use feed_product. So that is the convention they have in the back end, and they know, like, okay, once they want to change the feed product, now I know what to change automatically. So the top 3 rows are not there just because it's the structure, are a very good indicator for you once you want to change some stuff. And it gets really, really interesting when I'm going to show you some examples on Amazon.com. We're going to see some listings like in the front end, and then we're going to go in the back end to see that most times some of the information that we see in the back end is not the same, it's not named the same in a flat file. So if I tell you, hey guys, let's use the key features or the key product features, that you will never find that attribute in your flat file. So you need to familiarize yourself with the third row and how the name convention works. Perfect. So that the other part of the structure of the flat file is the open fields, and this is basically where everything happens, right? That's the information we input. That's the space, the open space. We have to input information. So we have 2 different fields. We have the drop-down menus, which are the ones that Amazon tells you what to put there. You don't have any other option. For example, product ID type. In the product ID type, you have UPC, ASIN, ESBN, EIN, and yeah, UPC. Yeah, I thought were 5. Okay, there are some drop-down menus there. You cannot just write barcode. That doesn't work. But on the other hand, we have the SKU, which is the open fields that are there with the only limitation of characters count, like the character count. For example, the seller SKU is an open field where you can put whatever you want. You can put symbols, you can put spaces, you can put upper, lower cases, whatever you want, with the only limitation of 40 characters. You cannot have SKUs longer than 40 characters, and that's how it works. And in different categories, so for example, the title have a different threshold depending on the category. The bullet points have different threshold depending on the category. That's not standardized, and Amazon is playing with that all the time. So I really recommend you guys to push the limits on those. And if you ever, probably obviously not for the SKU, but for things like bullet points or titles or key product features or what's in the box or color or stuff, I do recommend you to just push the limits. If you want to put more content there, try to put it. The worst thing that can happen is that when you upload that file, it gives you an error and it says like, hey, you cannot put that because it's too much. Okay, but bear in mind, that's the way that I learn sometimes. And I'm going to show you one specific attribute that I still don't know what is the maximum threshold, because I put so many characters and I written big paragraph and still the system allows that. So I don't know if you can put, I don't know, thousands of characters, or eventually they're just going to put it in a limit base. And lastly, the processing report. This is not a structure within the same category listing report that you download. This is what you get after you upload a file. And this is when you have issues in your file. We already covered that in the first session. I'm not gonna get into it. But again, I want to bring it up because it will be your best friend once you start learning more and more about flat files. This is your guide. And once you understand what's the error message and what's the message that they're trying to tell you and what do you need to change, you will just jump over seller support and basically don't use them or use them less. So typos, flat files. Again, I already covered these: shipping, orders, inventory, pricing, catalog. I'm gonna tell you about the 6. And again, this is content that I put out a lot, but I want you to just be aware of all the different tools that you have on your hand. I focus mainly on the category listing report, the specific categories, and the inventory loader file. Okay, those are the ones that will really help you to move the needle in the catalog side. Pricing and quantity, that's super basic for bulk uploads. If you're using a repricer or an automated tool, this is worthless. Shipping, again, is just for FBM. Listing quality and suppress listing. I always talk about this one, and this is the perfect way for you guys that are introing into flat files. This file, you can only get it through Seller Central when you go to a tab where it says listing quality, and Amazon give you a spreadsheet where it tells you what is in your listing that is missing. What is the information that you can improve, that can you optimize? So it's an easier way to get into flat files because it will only ask you for the things that you need to change right now or that you need to input right now. It's not about better optimization or better SEO. It's about we are missing information for your listing. Please input it there. So if you want to go like little baby steps, I do recommend you to play around with that one. Once you are familiarized with it, you are completely like good to go with a main category listing report or category specific file. And then automatic pricing, if it's in case you use the Amazon repricer, which I don't really recommend, but it's there, it's a possibility. So let's get into it. The category listing report, my favorite one, and I mentioned it very briefly in the first session, and I told you guys that I wasn't gonna get in very in depth in the first session, but in today's session, this is all about the category listing report. Okay, so features, we have mainly 5 features, and I think I covered touch them a little bit. Again, it came back to be again available only by request. That's our experience with all the accounts we are managing and all the accounts that we get into. The category listing report came back to be something that you need to request to seller support. In the last session, we shared the public SOP to download it. It's not hard. Actually, in the invite for this webinar, at the end of the invite, I know the team send you the link. So that's like online seller solutions, CLR, download SOP, something. So feel free to go and check it out. If you don't have it, make sure you have it. It will be super important for you to have it for this presentation. Okay, going into what is it is, because there is so much around it. It's like, yeah, it's amazing, but what is exactly? Okay, the category listing report is your complete catalog information. And I'm gonna emphasize in the word your complete catalog information. Why your? It's in case you are in a business model where you share the listing with somebody else, the category listing report will only give you the information that you have input into the listing. So for example, you're selling in the same listing with somebody else, and all of the sudden the title was changed, and you know that the other person that changed the title was the other seller. If you download your category listing report, you won't be able to see the changes that they did to the listing. You won't be able to see the new title unless you update that on your end. Okay, so it is very important. And I know in the last webinar, you guys told me, or most of the ones that answered my question about who here is a reseller or a brand, like everybody that answered that question was a brand. You know, you have a trademark and you have your brand. So this is not something that will impact you directly. But if somebody here is in the reselling game, just bear in mind that this is not going to give you all the information of the whole catalog on Amazon. It's just what you input in your list. And again, this is good in case, or even when you're a brand and you get a hijacker changing your title. Once you upload that category listing report, the system will get back to you saying like, hey, your title ABC conflicts with 1, 2, 3. So you kind of going to get a message of what's the other contribution that they're getting, and they're having more priority than yours. So it gives you a little bit like indication, but it will never give you the whole information. Okay. So the other feature is that it has all category attributes. So this is for the people that are selling in multiple subcategories. So we could, if I have a brand and I have a brand in the grocery and gourmet category, but I sell hot sauces, I sell chocolate, and I sell candy. Those are three different subcategories that have completely different attributes, right? Because the attribute for a hot sauce, which could be like how hot it is, right? It is not relevant for the chocolate or the candy. Or vice versa. Sometimes it could ask me what's the shape of my chocolate, and that's probably not relevant for the hot sauce. But once you have that information, or once you have more than one product from different subcategories in your inventory, you will get in the category listing report, you will get all of the attributes for those subcategories. So this becomes even more dramatic when you have products that are from the grocery and gourmet and also from office supply, right? Because you're gonna see attributes that are related to office supply, but in the listing or in the file, you're gonna see that are under, for example, or you have a row where you're selling your chocolate, but the office supply did ask you how, I don't know, what are the shape of the chair, I don't know, something. Those are the things. So this was the big realization, and it came to me a little bit like after a lot of time working with flat files. Actually, once I understood that the system doesn't really understand very well or discriminate very well between categories, that's where I learned that customization and borrowing information or fields from other categories was a thing that is possible. And this is the main topic of today's webinar. How can we borrow different attributes from other sibling subcategories to make our listing better? Okay, so customization, again, I already mentioned that. We're going to talk about it. And catalog troubleshooting, the best troubleshooting that you can do right now, and you don't even need me for that, is downloading your category listing report and uploading it without any changes. You just download it and then upload it. If you have a situation, a discrepancy, a problem in your catalog, you will know, because the category listing report will come back to you with a feed processing summary with all of the problems that are happening in your account or in your catalog. So it's the best way to diagnose what's going on. And sometimes it's so funny because I get to talk to sellers that are like, no, my listings are perfect. They are spotless. And I'm like, oh, really? Upload your category listing report and show me. And most of the times they get issues. So sometimes those issues are not something that will suppress you right away or restrict you or, shut down your whole catalog. But if you let them there happen, you will lose contribution rights. You will lose your power in your listings. So if somebody else is messing around and you are not noticing, that's the best way to notice. Okay, any discrepancies will come up. Perfect. So how can you use the flat files in my business? Let's go to the category listing report. Okay, this is a real category listing report. I mean, I basically changed all the information. You don't see the real SKU or the brand name or all that. All of these ASINs are fake. But I wanted to show you how an unoptimized category listing report looks like. The first thing that I'm going to tell you guys is, if you have your category listing report right now open, the first step that you need to do is going to review, okay, and clicking on protect sheet. I need to click on protect sheet. Why? because a lot of the things that we're gonna do are related to customization. So that basically will change some structures and will change some information in the template. So if it's protected, you won't be able to. So first step, the first thing that you do. Okay, so let's walk through it, just an overview to see how it looks. You see here, this is not perfect. A lot of information that is missing. So a quick cue on how to, or understanding what are the things that Amazon require us to have, is every time we have an open field like this one that is highlighted in red, that means that the system is reading it as it is required. Okay, so if this is a child async, I do recommend you to input information in that open field. If it's a parent async, and we can discuss that later, you don't input all the information for a parent async. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. Don't try to optimize the whole parent and put the information in the all of the attributes of the parent. Why? Because if you do that, the system will start reading your parent as a child, and it will lose that categorization within the system. Okay, perfect. So you guys see there are some stuff that are red. Great, like question that I get all the time, the gray areas. So this is what I'm telling you about. When I download a category listing report that has multiple subcategories, I will see open fields that are in gray, because what this is telling me is like, hey, Vanessa, these two products that you have here, 11 and 12, they don't require, or they are not designed to have a target gender. Okay, so that's basically what it is. Again, this is just like the basic theory. We're gonna see how we can break, or not break, but bend those rules or those structures to make optimization, to make the optimization better. So then we have the images. I think that if you upload your images for your listing in Seller Central, you will never get in the category listing report, you will never get the URL. The only way you get the URL once you download a category listing report is if you upload a file with those links. And I have a question about that. I'm gonna show you, I don't know, I don't have the names of the people that send me the questions, unfortunately. But I know that somebody asked me, how can I input images? So here, what you have for the images is the URL. So for URLs, I use this amazing website. It's called IMGUR, Imgur. I don't know how it's pronounced, but you open an account there, you create a new post, so you click new post, you drop your image here, and at the end of the process, the system will give you a link, a URL that most of the times, or I think 100% of the times in this app, ends in whatever, www blah 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 dot JPEG. Okay, that's the last thing. You know it's a valid URL when it ends in .png, .gp, whatever, JPEG, or I don't know what's the other format for images, but R3. That's the way I do it. If you have any other recommendations, feel free to put it in the chat. The other thing, if you already have the images on Amazon, you could take them from here. So imagine this is my product. I will click the right click on my mouse, and I will copy image address. So if I copy the image address, now I have it here, and I paste it, and that's my image address. So as you can see, this URL ends in JPEG. So that's how you do it. Easy. So if you already have the product on Amazon, take it from Amazon itself. If you don't have it and you're doing it from scratch, you can use the website that I recommend, or you can use whatever other website. I don't know, you guys, if are chatting there in the chat with more recommendations. Okay. So then we go to the variation section. Okay. This is very important. And I'm gonna say stuff that probably you're gonna be like, oh, that's not right. But again, all of the things that I'm sharing is because of my experience, because of things we do every single day at the agency. All of the things that I'm sharing is proven, like it works. Most times, and this is something that I get a lot, questions from people that are related, like, hey, Vanessa, my competitor has a listing with a variation of, for example, size and color. But when I try to do it in Seller Central, it's not letting me. And when I try to do it in the flat file, it's not letting me either. Why? Because the variation theme is a drop-down menu. Okay? And the variation theme, the way that variations relate to each other, come from a category perspective. And what I mean by this is, if you have a variation theme in the grocery and gourmet, which could be flavor, scent, size, or what's the name? Like liquid, FL ounces or stuff like that, how much it is. Oh, I forgot the name. Well, that other options, so item type, quantity, and all that. Those are the options for variation themes in the grocery and gourmet. Okay, but if we go now to the clothing category, clothing, apparel, and shoes, we have complete different variations. We have size, we have color size, we have dimensions. So they are different. Again, the variation theme relates to the main category, but, and this is the tip here and quick trick, that's customizable. So even when it is a drop-down menu, I could customize it. I could borrow. It's not like I invent my own variation. I'm not making things up. But I could borrow other structures from other categories into my category. The variation section and variation themes. And these are the things that I was telling you guys that are customizable. And I'm gonna make this bigger. Maybe you guys see it better. Wow. Okay. So this in the color size. I was saying that once you get to a point where, like, oh, I wish that I could have the same variation theme that my competition have, you can. Like, it is possible to have it. You just need to force it. And how you force things in a drop-down menu field is by doing stuff. For example, if we're gonna just make things up, I want to have a variation that is flavor and color. Again, I'm making this up. I don't know if flavor and color is a valid variation. Probably not. I never seen it. So bear in mind that. I don't have variation flavor color in my drop-down menu. So I have flavor size, but I don't have flavor color. What I'm doing here, and this is one of the tips of customization and bending the rules on a flat file, is using that up. So if I try to write things here, oh well, I could because I unprotect the sheet. Sometimes you cannot. So the way to do it is just dragging it up. So I'm gonna drag it up. I'm just gonna delete this. And basically, I just already made my own variation thing. Okay. In this case, if I upload this file, the file will basically come out with me with an error saying run variation theme. And that's it. Nothing else is broken. I didn't really bend, and nothing will really happen to your listings that happen. One thing that I'll say, and it is very important that I say it, Amazon has interesting rules on variations, And there is a policy on best practices of variations. That's in theory, that's the theory. And I really like to read the theory to understand where Amazon is coming from. But in practice, that is not how the catalog runs. Okay, so you could have stuff that are different, but bear in mind that if you bend the rules, which is not really breaking it, bending the rules, you could get in trouble. I never seen, so I done this quite a lot, and I never get anybody in trouble because of that, because the catalog is so big, especially, and I'm gonna say this, especially if what you're doing is correct. If you're selling a product that the variation is actually a flavor and a color, you could argue that that's correct. Okay, so you could argue why you use it and why it's important for your customer experience, so you can get out of the trouble. If you're doing this for a black hat thing and you're messing just with the catalog and using variations the wrong way, which I think most people think that the solution for the ranking and their indexation is a variation. Guys, it is not. So take that in consideration. It is possible to do, but again, you get a risk of getting a warning. That won't suspend your account at all. It's just getting a warning. So make sure, especially not only getting a warning, if you do it a lot, they can Amazon could ban the abilities to create variations. Okay, so going to the other section, which is the one where we guys, or where you guys get the most amount of brownie points, indexation points, SEO, however you want to call it, is the green section, is the discovery. Why? And this is important for you to understand. In the past, I will say 2018 and prior, Amazon had the ranking and indexation system based on the keywords that are attached to the backend and somewhat the information that was in the front end. That changed. Yes, we still have information in the backend, but now it's not as important as we put in the front end. Why? Because Amazon is ranking products in a holistic way with all the information that is in our product detail page. Okay, so they are using your color, your product key features, your special uses, special ingredients, your bullet points, your title, description, all that to rank you. Yes, you can have information or you can have keywords in the backend, but those are not as important as the holistic message that you have in your listing. So the discovery section is your best friend. The discovery section is where you're gonna be there optimizing every single open field. For example, in my case, I created a product, but I don't have directions. Let's say that I'm selling, in this case, a supplement, okay? I'm just selling a collagen peptides, okay? I'm doing that. And what's the direction? Like, direction is just a jar, you get the scoop and you put in your water, whatever, super basic, you know? You will think like, yeah, that's why I would put directions on it. On the other hand, I think that this is extremely important. Why? Because when you input information in the directions in the field, you will have more space, like more real estate SEO product keywords attributes, and you will be able to explain your product better. So in directions, instead of saying like, open the jar, get the scoop, put it in the water, which is super simple, which is true also, that's what you do, but you could make the directions that are more keyword driven. So you will say something with these collagen peptides that improve your health, blah, 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 blah. You take it twice a day because your health is important. So you start like inputting more keywords and more keywords in an SEO way, like an SEO, I mean search engine optimized, okay? This is not just keyword stuff. This is not just like collagen, peptides, healthy supplement, daily health. No, I'm saying something that makes sense for the user experience, because now more than ever, Amazon is caring about it than what it used to care before. Before it was just, yeah, this is the keywords that they want to rank. Perfect, let's do it. Now you can leverage this. And I'm going to give you some examples. I want to share with you some examples here. I bring you some things, and this is, oh my God, the time flies. When I talk about flat files, I think that I talk about only 5 minutes. This has been like 40. I'm sorry, guys. Like, there is so much to cover. That's why we need to put more webinars, and we need to put a more advanced content on it. But if you don't mind, I'm gonna probably go over the hour. If you need to go. I'm just gonna stay here because I really want to finish the point. And again, you will get the recordings and all that. So in this part, in the special features, so these are the things that I told you about. It is some stuff like in my case, because I have this specific category, I see directions, but there are other categories that have special features. In the special features, look that these guys put in the special feature like travel, portable, lightweight. That's amazing. Why? Because when somebody looks for a hair dryer that is portable, instead of having that keyword in the back end hidden in the subject matter or in the search terms, now because you have it on the list, the system or the algorithm will say like, hey, this is actually a travel hair dryer. And because it is in the back end, so these features are not bullet points. These features are like, yeah, attributes or features that get indexation. Unfortunately, I still don't know how much importance in ranking these ones have, but not having it, I see when somebody comes into us and say like, yeah, I want to do optimization, and the before and after is just huge. The amount of extra keywords that you index after you optimize the backend is enormous. So this guy make it nice. It is a very user-friendly thing. It's just 3 keywords, the most important ones. But look at this one. I have here, for example, special features. They put a lot more, right? Again, they are pushing the limits. They are saying like the course length is lightweight. It has one magnetic nozzle, fast drying, low noise. Again, they're putting more and more keywords that are important, not only for indexation, but remember that this specific section, it is front and center in your customer journey. Like, they're gonna see the images, and before they even read the bullet points, they have this is called the technical details. They have the technical details front and center. So it is super relevant that you have the most amount of information in a user-friendly way. And again, I have another example. Maybe it was the last one. Here, this one. This is what I was telling you guys about the special features. So special features are the dryer. We have portable, lightweight, and travel. So these are the keywords that I'm telling you. And this section is extremely important for your customer's journey because they see it now front and center before the bullet points. So it won't only help you to rank, it also help you to convince the customer or appeal to a customer to the features that they're looking for. Okay. And these things are things that you get in the flat file when you go to things that directions. This is what I mean. And for different categories, there are different names for it. Okay. So you guys saw that I changed from a flat file to the screen to Amazon. Yes, okay. Okay, perfect. So I said here, and I was telling you guys, this is the example that I got, the dryer. So the special features, they only put 3 keywords. Okay, they are just like safe. You just want to be portable, lightweight, and travel. Then other people come here, and this is the other example, and they put the course length, the lightweight, the magnetic nozzle, the fast drying, all of it. They put more. It's more information. Some people And I got this one because these guys put not applicable. And it's so funny because I used to talk back in, I don't know, was 2020 something, when I was talking about flat files and people asked me like, what if the attribute is not relevant to my product? For example, I could say that this product doesn't have the directions, is an attribute that is not relevant. I could say that. The problem is at that in that point in 2020, I said, okay, just because you want to protect yourselves from hijackers, put not applicable. Okay, that's just protection. But now what I say all the time is like, you should put information, even if it's not extremely precise. It is always relevant, but if it's not extremely precise to what they're telling you the attribute is, you still should put information. So these guys missed a huge opportunity to in the special features say, I don't know, a special N and thing and clips to the hair and portable and fast drying, low noise, whatever. So again, testing your limits, going above and beyond of what we can have. This section of pro details, it is so relevant for indexation. And I have another example of the guys that really are pushing it. This is another name for it, product benefits. It's the same thing. Again, I'm gonna reiterate this, is categories have different name conventions for the same kind of attribute. So these guys in the product benefits, look, they have a huge paragraph of information. Huge paragraph. Look how many keywords they have and how much characters they have. So last time I pushed the limits, I got to put 450 characters there. 450. Maybe this is more. And I've seen listings with more. I never put more than that. Why? And the reason why I don't like to put more than I think the cut is 380 something, because I don't like it when it says see more. That means that the customer needs to click on it to really read everything. I prefer to have just like the complete information here, so they don't need to navigate any other way. But so that's the balance we need to have between, we want to provide a nice customer experience and journey so they can see everything, or we want to put more keywords to index better. So if you are launching, relaunching, or want to get better in more keywords, you will probably go to a ladder, right? To the one that is like, okay, I'm going to put more information. Or if you're a very well-established brand, you will prioritize the experience of your customer, so you can double down on your main key features. So that's how it looks like a listing that is not completely optimized and one that is fully optimized if you have product details. So I was putting here the information, and it's so funny that these guys spend so much time in the product benefits, right? It's so long, but the bullet points are super simple. They're even missing one bullet point, they just have 4. So again, that's the thing that I'm telling you in the green section, the discovery section. Okay, so now that you understand that, and again, you see these ones are telling me, or my category listing report is telling me that these attributes are not relevant for this product. Again, I could write something here. I could sell salt serving 10 milligrams, right? I could, and it's possible. It doesn't matter that you have the gray on there. If you unprotect the sheet, you will be able to write there. If you're not, so as the example that I was telling, just a little trick in Excel. If you're not able to change anything here, you just do it here and drag it down. So that's how you jump the system there. Okay, so now, and this is a listing or an attribute, a catalog that have different attributes for other categories. And my point here, guys, is let's do an exercise. Now that you understand this, now that you understand the importance of attributes within the front end and in the back end for indexation, now the exercise is going to your sibling categories, okay? And what I mean by sibling categories is, what are the other categories close to my product that if my product changed to that category, it can still be somewhat sellable? For example, the example that I told you about the chocolate, right? If my chocolate bar tomorrow changes to the category of candy, that's not completely wrong, right? That's possible. And especially because with candy and chocolate, they share a lot of same attributes. But what I want to get is what else is there that I don't have yet in my list. So in categories that are technical, and I believe that supplements, health and household is not technical, but office product, electronics, and tools and improvements, those have more technical space, and they give you in the pro detail, they give you a huge space for you to input more and more information that help you rank. Not only that, but also each time that we have or that we in the green section, each time we put something like sugars, for example, sugar per serving, I'm gonna say here that it's just 5 milligrams, for example. This will help me when customers are searching for the product. This could help me to filter my product. In this case, for example, I search here for nutritional supplements, right? But now I want to have something for acne treatment. So how do I get to be an acne treatment supplement and the filters here? It's because at one point, in the uses and specific for this product benefits, for example, they have acne treatment. So the exercise here is, you don't really need to research and make up and innovate in the SEO and stuff like that. What you're trying to do is cater for that specific search on Amazon. So now you see that the results that I'm getting here are completely different from what I was getting when I was just researching for nutritional supplements. So it is important, even when your main keyword and your main sales driver is nutritional supplements, you want to be in the search filters here. So in the hair dryer example, the hair type was super important. And again, let's show you how that looks like. So I look for hair dryer, and one of the filters, for example, my hair is dry. I just want a hair dryer that works for dry hair. When I click that, the results are changed. You see what I mean? And I still see the one that I have here. Why? Because they put in the hair type, well, no, not in this case, but they put in the hair type, that specific hair type. So that's how you drive more traffic to your listing eventually. And this is a perfect example. I click dry, and the best seller in the main category, look, the number one seller in the hair perm accessories, it doesn't show up when I click dry. So that's how you differentiate yourself, and that's how you cater for sub niches when you refine your listing and the backend information for that specific search. So do you guys understand? I have a bunch of questions for Q&A time. Okay, I'm just gonna go to one more thing, and let's go to the questions. Okay, my specific example. I know, and you guys gonna get this. You could copy it right now if you have two screens and you're seeing me and also seeing your category listing report. But let's make an exercise. I'm gonna go to row number 2, because now I already told you what are the things that we're gonna optimize for, and what are the spaces that you can fill in to have more information, more SEO, more indexation, brownie points, whatever you want to call it. Perfect. Now it's the time to protect yourself, because the basic theory of flat files, imagine that this flat file completely is the principle of catalog. Catalog on Amazon catalog is a pool of information. And I see that each open field is a bucket where we need to fill in information. We need to put water, okay? If we put water, or if we put information, we are blocking that field to hijackers to come in and change some stuff. So if your category listing report looks somewhat like mine, like the one that I have here with open stuff, this is terrible. Why? Because if at some point you get so big that you have a bunch of hijackers want to shut you down, a hijacker will easily go to your, well, they cannot download your category listing report, but they will download a flat file, they will input the information of your listing, and in the directions, for example, they will put CBD. Okay, that's a restricted keyword, and that will show you down like this, or a pesticide claim, or something even worse, an adult product. So that's how you protect yourself, filling in all the information possible. There are some stuff that are impossible to fill in the compliance section, which is the purplish, I don't know what color is this, purple. So there's information. For example, my pros doesn't have any batteries, and battery type and size. If you cannot put not applicable here, you should delete it. Oh, perfect. This is something that happens. So if I want to write in this specific field, it's not letting me because it doesn't match the valid values. So I cancel that. And if I want to do it, I'm just going to put, this is not how you type it in an spreadsheet, but in a flat file, but that's how you do it. Sometimes if you cannot put this, if you cannot say this is not applicable, what I like to do is deleting the column completely. I take it out of my file. And again, this is specifically for compliance. This section that is purplish brown, I don't know. I delete it. Why? Because if we mess around with this section, we could trigger some stuff in the account health that probably will take some time to resolve. So you don't want to mess a lot with this specifically. So bear in mind that what I'm saying of like expanding and bending boundaries and stuff is for the grid section, which is the SEO, where we can put more information and stuff. Don't mess around with compliance. It's not good. Okay. So the exercise. You go to your category listing report and click the second row completely and click find. And I'm gonna look for the adult column. It's not there. Most categories or most files don't have the adult section attribute, but it exists. So let me just show you. It exists, and it looks like this. This is another dummy file that I did for presentations. So we have this section here, this column. So now what I'm telling you is like they are attributes that are related to restrictions that you really need to have information there to protect your listing. Okay, like the adult product. It is important to have it. And I'll say that it is important to have it, but if in your listing, you have in your title, bullet points, or anywhere in the bucket, you have an adult keyword, no matter that you say that the product is not an adult, it will still trigger the adult flag. Okay, it is important to know that. remember. So if you have no, but then down the line you get hijacked and you have, and I hope you don't, because if you're here, it's because you're optimizing everything. But if you down the line get triggered by as an adult product, bear in mind that this column won't help you or won't save you completely. It helps when you're trying to solve the issue and you can prove to sellers support that your product is actually not an adult product and that contribution came wrong and all that. So I'm gonna send you guys on Monday when we wrap up all of it, I'm gonna send you a spreadsheet with all the sensitive columns, and they are all the ones that are here highlighted in yellow. All of the ones that I like to always put in, because sometimes I see, for example, is this item heat sensitive? This comes from the grocery and gourmet category. But what happened is, and I've seen this, is so funny, is that this attribute is related to the meltable, the meltable restriction, that you cannot send products to FBA between April and October. And I've seen this, a seller came in and they were selling a hairbrush, like a plastic hairbrush. And the system was triggering as a meltable product, which is like not meltable, it's just plastic. But what happened is that they didn't have this heat sensitive attribute in the back end, so they couldn't argue that that wasn't a thing. I mean, we had to open cases and we have to send pictures and all that. If you have that information in your category listing report in the first place, this won't happen to you. Okay, it's important. I have some other ones, are not really relevant for me to explain it in detail. You are very self-explanatory. You want to have your product saying that it's not expirable, or that it's not discontinued by manufacturer, or that it's not a pesticide. All of that you're gonna get at the end or by next week with the thing, so you can input. So now you're gonna ask me like, hey Vanessa, perfect, but how can I use that attribute, or how can I use that column in my file? So this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to your category listing report, and here, and whatever, the order is not important. You can add columns in the middle or at the end. I'm gonna add a column here, and I'm gonna take this column or this information, and I'm gonna paste it here. Now I have the adult product column, and I'm gonna answer this no. And now all my ASINs have a restriction in the adult product. So this is what I mean about customization. You can customize your columns and your attributes, borrowing from other categories, from other files. If you think that, oh, this is too complex or too complicated to put it in the middle, you can easily put it at the end. You can create another column here, at the end. It doesn't matter. The order is not important. Just make sure to not have it at the very beginning. That's the only thing. You cannot create another column here because you're gonna mess around with the schema of the template. Okay. So this is all I have for you. Now let's go to questions. And I think I have a lot. Okay. Let me see. You were laughing at me that I didn't have the right screen. I'm sorry. So, does it matter? The brand name is, oh, good question. So Winky asked, in a flat file under the column brand name, does it matter if the brand is all capital or not? It does. So brand name is case log sensitive. So for example, my brand name is ABC in lower cases. That could be my brand, and I can have the trademark for that brand. But somebody else could have ABC upper cases. And that's, for Amazon, that's a completely different brand. Or if they have A, the A is in upper cases and BC is in lower cases, that's another brand, completely different. So I've seen a lot of issues when sellers create their listings at the very beginning and they're still not 100% sure what the trademark would look like or how they're gonna file their brand name, and they put a different lowercase, uppercase. So it does matter a lot, because if you don't have it exactly the same that your brand registry trademark have, you're basically you're not gonna see that ASIN under your brand registry or your brand catalog manager. So you're gonna need to go over the changing the brand name and all that. It's painful, it's possible, but painful, especially if the discrepancy is just that, if just an uppercase, lowercase. If you're telling me that you want to change the brand name from ABC to 123, that's a different story. But yeah, it is important. I get this question a lot, Andy. How do hijackers actually access our brand listings? They don't have access to it, but this is what I do, or well, this is what they do. Let me just share my screen so you can understand. It's extremely simple. So I have this listing, right? You can see, imagine that this is my competitor and I want to hijack this listing. What I do is I'll take the ASIN, okay? And I'm gonna create in my category listing report or in any specific file. It could be a category specific file. I'm gonna put the ASIN here. And basically the required information for an ASIN, I can get in the front end. So I can get the title, this is required. And again, this color, which is like salmon, skin color, orange, this Pantone is wrong. Like it could be simpler, it could be orange. This is a weird color. For the title, I have the product name and I just paste it here, the product name. And if I want the brand name, I just copy John. As the brand name is John. And then I'm gonna say hijacker. Beauty, let's see. I'm making this up. If I have the specific category file for it, I'll know how to do it. Okay, it doesn't match. Let's get something different. It's not letting me. Okay, let's pretend that it's health miscellaneous. Doesn't matter. And then it asks me for a manufacturer. And again, what's the manufacturer of this product? Let's just go down. And I'm gonna go, manufacturer is also John. Perfect, I copy, I paste it. And now I wanna hijack. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put here in the first bullet point for that listing, and I'm gonna put CBD. So if you understand a little bit of what I said about contribution rights again, you know that if I go to my Seller Central and I upload this listing, my contribution will not go through. And you ask me why? Well, basically, because I'm not the main contributor for this listing. Okay, but because in this case, my Seller Central, my little world in this scenario is an hypothesis that I'm doing. What I'm selling here is health supplements. So I don't have any authority in the beauty category. I don't have any authority in any of those, in any of that product line. But if your hijacker is your competitor, they have authority in that category. And even when they don't have authority for your specific product, if Amazon or if they find an attribute that you have empty, and all of a sudden they input information, what Amazon sees is like, oh, this seller just made the catalog better by putting more information into the listing. They don't have a way, or the algorithm doesn't have a way to know when they are hijackers or to know when they are good sellers that want to improve the catalog. Okay, because for resellers, sometimes resellers want to make the listing better and they will contribute. And being a reseller, as a reseller, you could eventually get all the contribution rights for a listing if you contribute constantly. So that's basically what your hijackers do. Your hijackers find, or this is not even finding. I could get, so for the CVD example, I could just go and put CVD everywhere. And in some attributes, it will give me an error because in the material features, for example, it will say like CVD is wrong because the seller, or in Amazon catalog, it says that the material features is should. Okay, so that's wrong. But somewhere down the line, some attribute that is empty, it will go through. So what now Amazon and what now the catalog has is one information that a seller input in the listing that was empty. And that's what I cannot emphasize more and more, guys, that you need to input as much information as possible in your listing. And again, this class and everything that I do is extremely white hat. We don't do this at all, but I constantly get the question, how do hijackers do it? This is how, or this is how I think they do it. This is my guess. I don't know. There are hijackers that have people inside of Amazon that can do whatever you want, and that's another story. But if a hijacker knows enough about flat files, they could have this path. And another thing that I'll say, if you're here and you're listening, and I hope nobody here is here for that, but if you're listening and you're thinking about hijacking your competitor, I do recommend you that you don't do it from your Seller Central account, because you could get suspended. So that's how you do it. Let's go to more questions. What column will trigger the number of items that show up on the image? Oh, Diane, that's an amazing question. I know that for the grocery and gourmet, let me see if I have it in these files. I think that there is something like package quantity. It's not unit quantity. It's something related package quantity. It is possible. That's the other thing. If you guys have ever seen on Amazon that you go to a listing and in the top right corner it says a number with the smile of Amazon, that little icon, Amazon does it for the listing that have the information of quantity. So that works amazingly for multi-packs, and you don't need to create that image or generate that logo. Amazon does it for you. But Diane, I don't remember the exact attribute. I could get back to you. Make sure to shoot me an email, and I will work on the name of the attribute in the backend. Okay, I have so many questions. Let's see. I wanted to prioritize. I even have a bunch of that you already submitted, but you have a bunch here too. So let me just go back. Okay, I already got the brand name. My category listing report is available anytime. Request is not necessary. Yeah, maybe that could be an option. I seen that it's not beta anymore, that section. Okay, perfect. So I cover the ones at the beginning. Let's see. Okay, do you get more discovery options from borrowing from sibling categories? iPhone 3, yes. The answer is yes. You get that once you start getting more. So for example, if you are in the hairdryer section, and I share the screen on the options, you could, for example, not don't have the option to put the product benefits, but you have the option to put special features. If you borrow that column from another category, you can have both. So that's what I said about borrowing from sibling categories. When it's not specifically your category specific file, you can borrow it from other ones. So it is possible. How can I hire your team to help me with the task? Johnny, just reach out on email. That's super easy. Just reach out, tell us your problem, and if we're able to help, we can help you. I don't think. Okay, David, a Q&A. Okay, we tried to use a theme from another category, but the catalog team sent this message. The variation was created on the parent XX with the variation of the screenshot attached, shows not the value variation table current category template. Per variation guidelines, we cannot create a variation family with theme outside when releasing a pro category. For the same reason, we cannot add the child IC to existing family. Okay. David, I seen this message before. I don't know. So this is where you, when you are bending the rules, you could get warnings like this. I don't know if this comes from a case or this came from a performance notification. If it came from a performance notification, you could have a ban or you could have a restriction to create variations. If this came from a case and seller support just said that to you, what I will do, if you want to keep pushing that and if you want to make that happen, delete the parent async completely and create a new one. So remember, parent asyncs as an entity are not relevant at all. They are like disposable. That's the one thing that you have is completely disposable. You could get rid of a parent async and nothing will change in your variation once you create it again. So I don't have any other background on your situation. I don't know if your account is banned for variations. I don't know if you have any other trigger or anything like that. If I just have this information and I want to give you or I want to give you the first thing that I'll think about and do is just deleting the parent async and creating all the family again with the new with a new async for a parent. That's what I'll do. Okay, find below the listings. Yeah, I get it. Those are the things. You could again, I seen or I done it. I have been the possibilities. And if you have, and this is so important, David, if you ever get a message like that with seller support and you want to argue why you're right, you could simply send them a screenshot of your competitors listing where they're using the variation theme that you want. If you're gonna use a variation theme that nobody else is using, that's probably why you're getting that answer, and that's probably not possible. Okay, but if there is an example of your competitors using that variation theme, you could send a screenshot and say like, hey, but our competitor ABC in the same category with the same product has that variation theme. But simple solution, create a new parent async and do it again. Okay, so how do you move a column from a system category to your flat file and how do you find it? Diane, same thing that I did and you guys saw me doing here in the screen. How do you find attributes for sibling categories? You download the category specific template for that category. So you're gonna go to your Seller Central and you're gonna go now to your, now it's in the catalog section. It used to be before in the inventory, but now you click catalog and then you click add upload pros, add pros via upload. Okay, that section. And then in the first tab of that dashboard, it says download specific template. Oh no, I'm lying. That changed too. There are so many changes in Seller Central now. Now it's like I think the first option is to upload and the second option is to download a file. So in that download a file, you just look for your sibling category or your sibling subcategory, and you will download a blank template. It will be completely blank. It doesn't have anything. So the only thing that you're gonna get from there is the attributes, this column. And the question on how to take it from one to another, just like copy and paste. Copy and insert in the next. That's how you do it. If something doesn't work, it's gonna be super easy, the system will tell you, no, this is not possible. And it happens. When you're trying to do this, it happens that the system will tell you, no, this is not good. But again, it's not like you're breaking the listing. Also, for that, about breaking the listing, make sure that when you're using sibling attributes, make sure that in the update delete, you have partial update. Don't do full update until you have the green light to, or meaning until you upload a file and comes up with no errors. Once you do no errors, then you can push full update. But if you're seeing all the changes in the front end, I wouldn't even recommend you to do full update. And remember, if you're gonna do full update, everything should be filling. Everything, images, all of it. You could lose your images if you do full update, and full update means update only. The other day I had the same, somebody asked me a question. And they were like, what do you mean by full update? And it means this, just the word update. When we do updates, like hardcore update, like full. Okay. Thank you for staying with me. We're like half an hour past our time. Wow. I love you guys. Okay, Joey. Is it still worth filling in search terms in the backend if there is not as useful as used to be? Again, Joey, this is a yes question. It's completely worth it because it is still real estate. I'm telling that now the algorithm is using a more holistic way to make indexation, but that doesn't mean that these fields that are open to keywords are completely irrelevant. They still help, but they are not the most important thing. That's the point. Anything that you have available to input information in the backend, do. Yes, 100%. So we can delete all the purple columns. Yeah, purple, yeah, the compliance columns. If you don't have anything there that you want to input and not available, no, sorry, not applicable is not an option. I do recommend you to delete it when you're testing for optimization and sibling attributes and stuff like that. Can we delete the adult column if it's not an adult product? No, don't do that. Don't delete it. Just input no. Don't delete it. I talk about adding it to all the flat files. If you have it, make sure you have the information there. I just delete things that could get me in trouble in a legal way. So for example, if I have a toy and they're asking me for some CPC number, instead of putting not applicable, I'm just gonna delete that column. Why? Because if I input some information there, that could trigger something in the account hell and it could get me in trouble, in bigger trouble. Something like as an adult, I will never delete. I just put information like no. The answer is just no. Is the liquid contents in the liquid content column? We must say yes if the product includes or is grease. Good question. I will say yes. I don't know what your product is. If you tell me your product, I will tell you yes or no, but just by the question there, if it include or is grease, I'll say like, yeah, if your product becomes hot enough, it will become liquid. So I'll say it's liquid. And that will, so thinking about the second order consequence of that is what will happen if you put that is liquid? Now it will need a specially handling and probably a different warehouse from a warehouse that doesn't handle liquid products. So it could be detrimental for your whole process if you have labeled that product as not liquid and then you change it. Probably, I bet that your FC will change. That's it. That's the thing. But again, I don't know. Is there a way to count characters in field? I wish, Diane. I wish. No. It's just testing the limits, to be honest. Some fields like SKU, product name, bullet points have a policy and a guideline that will tell you, yeah, your title can only be 80 characters and the bullet points could be only 250, but stuff like directions, I haven't come across with any policy that tells me directions is only 180 characters. If you guys come across with it, please let me know. I'll be very, very excited to read about that. Can we add color swatch that show on search result page of our category? Color not detailed page swatch, need color swatch on Amazon search result page. I don't understand the question about the color swatch. If you can like rephrase the question, I'll answer that. Alex, for attributes that are related to pesticides, should we not enter anything in them? So Alex, the pesticide section is very, nowadays it's very straightforward. They have an option like, they have the option of like, yeah, this is pesticide and this is not pesticide. Or sorry, this is pesticide, this is not pesticide, and this product applies for an exemption. So if your product is not a pesticide, just put no. Again, you want to have information there. Why? Because if you delete that column, if you delete the pesticide column, and somebody wants to hijack you and says that your product is a pesticide, you will get restricted. So it is worth it to say the truth, right? Because if your product is not a pesticide, just say it. Just say like, yeah, it is not, period. You're not hiding anything, and you shouldn't be deleting that column because it could be hijacked. David, we tried to use the team from another category. Yeah, I already answered this one. Made lists, try to make changes. Contribution level. Yeah, Diane, question. I made the listing, try to make changes. Amazon is saying that the listing can only be changed by the brand. Okay, a few things here. It could be that they're just giving you a lazy answer. And I see this all the time where people are doing the resale selling model, or they're creating bundles, or they're creating things and they don't have the trademark. The easiest blurb that seller support will give you is like, this is controlled by the brand owner. If you know that that trademark, if you know that that brand name is not controlled by a brand registry account, you could argue with them that that's not true. And they could tell you, or they could help you to understand who is the winning contributor for the attribute that you're trying to change. So I know somebody asked me one time on LinkedIn, they told me like, will seller support tell you who's the contributor? They won't tell you the name and last name or the name of the account, but they could tell you, yeah, there is another seller in this listing winning the contribution. So you could keep pushing there, and it's possible if you create, especially if you created the listing, if you're selling under the listing and you're driving the most amount of sales and you have other products from the same brand, it is possible that they're just giving you a lazy answer. So keep pushing, and yes, it is a contribution issue. You could just find out who's contributed, because at the end of the day, it could be somebody internally on Amazon, and that's super easy to argue against. And they're like, yeah, you're basically messing up the catalog. Let me show you how it's done, or let me tell you what's really the information that I want. From a case, no first time that happened. David, from a case, the answer from a case, perfect. So my best bet, I think, and I hope you come for the third webinar and tell me what happened, delete the parent and create it again. Okay, Hugh said, I have updated bullets on our listing, but the listing page is not updated. It is possible. Okay, Hugh, this is one of the SOPs that I'm sharing on Friday. So come on Friday. This is called data desynchronization. And this means that when you own the listing and when you're changing the information in the listing, the system is not refreshing in the backend. I'm going to show you how to change that. So come on Friday. And kindly sir. Good, thank you. You see, okay. Somebody send me a link for a product. A search grocery bags. I still don't understand the question. So, what's the name? I'm sorry, I don't. Mustehan. I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong. If you can send me a quick Loom video or a better explanation of your question, I'll could answer it on Friday. And guys, that's it for today. Oh my God, it's been 1 hour and 40 minutes. Thank you so much for everybody that stayed with me to answer all the questions. I hope this was useful, fun. I had a lot of fun. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys on Friday. Remember, if you want somebody to have this information, if you want to go back to the videos, make sure to be signed up for it. Because we're gonna send that in the email, so you're gonna get all of the things that I'm talking about, the presentation, the videos, and all that. So thank you for being here, and I hope you see you on Friday.